Hi, welcome. Still only 35 cents here. We're back to the drawing board. It's been a while since I've done one of these. So we're back with a vengeance. We're going to be doing a couple more of these in the next coming weeks. Idea of the show is we have our lovely members who give very generously to the Hero Initiative. And as part of what we give back is every month or so, I'll do a sketch and give one of the sketches to one of our members. So we'll be announcing a new member getting a sketch today. Once we finished it, I am doing one at the moment for Rafe from Rafe's Retro Comics, who was a member a couple of months back. And essentially, I am finishing off his Steve Ditko inspired Doctor Strange. And as I say, we'll be drawing a new member live on the show today to get another sketch. I've already done the basics in terms of the plan for this one. So yeah, we just do a live sketch show, which takes however long it takes. Love to hear your comments in the chat as we go. I'm always a little distracted unless we've got a guest on these, so please bear with me. As I say, sketching does take a lot out, so I'll try and talk through the techniques and the character and stay in tune with the chat as we go. But thank you all for joining. And as I say, if you're not a member already, please consider joining. All the proceeds go to the Hero Initiative, which is a great charity for comic book creators who are needing help with medical bills, that type of thing. So that's part of the membership piece. So welcome to the show. I'm going to bring the camera up. Let's just bring up the new camera. And let's zoom in, see if this works. Add to stage. Hopefully we can all see that. Bring it to there. There you have it. So there is my original sketch idea for Doctor Strange. So I went with a classic Ditko. And as I say, I used a blue pencil, always use a blue pencil to try and set it all up. And then, as I say, I will be inking it and then coloring it today and then sending it off to Rafe. And then we'll announce the next member to get a sketch. As you can see here, hopefully the camera is pretty clear. Let's have a quick look to see who's in the chat, by the way. So Richard is here. Richard Westfall, mod extraordinaire. Welcome. Good to see you. Derek Hammondtree is here as well. Hello, Derek. It's great to see you, mate. Welcome to the show. Hopefully you enjoy this. But feel free to jump on if you need to. I should put the link in if I really. Greetings from Denmark. Always a pleasure. Thank you for joining. Wonderful. And wow, we've had a super chat from Patel. That's so nice. Thank you very much. As I say, this all goes to Hero Initiative. So I really appreciate that. Thank you very, very much. Hello, mate. This week I picked up an ASM 129 37 signed by Stan Lee, an ASM 121 and a 122 and a Fantastic Four 3.5. Sir, that is impressive stuff. So well done. And thanks again. We actually have, I've been meaning to do super chats for a while, but this is the next best thing for the time being.
That's a very serious book, man.
Only 5 in existence.
That's a very serious.
So thank you so much for that. That is very, very generous of you, and welcome to the show. So thank you. JSS is here. Hello, John. Good to see you. And just to see, I think we're ready to go. I am going to dig in on the sketch. Let me know as you go. Again, apologies if I am remiss with the chat. Will be sketching, but I will try and keep a lookout intermittently. I will share the link in there if anyone feels like jumping in and filling in whilst I'm sketching. But there you go. Those books are astounding, by the way, Patel. That's like just unbelievable stuff. Can't believe that. It's just, yeah, that in 1 week, that's a hell of a pickup. A hell of a pickup. All right, so let's get started with this. So hopefully you can see the screen. So yeah, I sort of played with this a little bit. Obviously, I've got his hand here emanating magic. And so I've sort of put some shading on the right-hand side. But we'll start by, I'm using a Micron 1. It's probably too shallow. Let's go with a 3. So I'm using these. These are Pigma micron pens. I've been using these throughout the whole piece as I've been doing the sketch show. So I thought the best thing to start with this is to actually accentuate the cape. So I think that's the one thing with Doctor Strange that is synonymous with this look. And so if we start doing that and getting the outlines ready, you'll really see this come to life. And what I've also done as well, you would have noticed there's some sort of slight subtle shading there as well around where the flowing power comes from Doctor Strange. And I've also done his flowing cape robes here as well. So it's not lost on me that he is the master of the mystic arts, and with that comes flowing capes and flowing robes. I've also tried to cover his emblem that was featured in the early Doctor Strange books, and you can see that here as well. So there's that. But as you can see, I think I did a pretty good job in terms of capturing it in the first instance. I know that from other sketch shows that I watch, particularly with Locke, is you always try and put something in the foreground to give you some something of interest. So we'll see how we go. I'm just checking the chat to see who else is in here. Canadian Survivalist has joined us. Welcome, welcome. Great to see you too. And as I say, the link to the video is in the chat if anyone feels like joining. But yes, and Patel's done another one as well. Oh, thank you so much. That is, again, we will go to our media assets, and again, celebrating your amazing pickups.
That's a very serious book, man.
Only 5 in existence.
I never get tired of that. Never get tired of that. So thank you once again. That is amazing. As I say, we'll be going to the Hero Initiative alongside all the other members as we go. So let's go back to this sketch and see where we've got. So I'd also put in the Eye of Agamotto. I didn't actually put the eye in there for now, but you'll see in a minute how I've structured that. But as you can see, I've got the flowing capes here of Mr. Strange himself, but didn't want to take too much of this out and make it. So as you can see, there'll be some flowing energy here, but it won't all necessarily be immediately obvious. It will be when the color starts to be added. But as you can see, it's starting to sort of take shape already. And as I say, I put a couple of these eye-like pieces here to highlight the cape, and a little bit of shading under here with the cloak draping down. It is a hell of a challenge doing this sometimes when you've only got the camera to go from, but hopefully you get a sense of how this is coming together. And the one thing that's great about Doctor Strange is that you can actually use predominantly just color to highlight a lot of these elements. You don't necessarily need to draw the whole element. You can use shading quite cleverly to create the illusion. One of the things that I do like, though, is the Kirby crackle, or not Kirby crackle in this instance, the Ditko crackle of the arm, where Doctor Strange, his arm in the original had these dots, very similar to Kirby crackle. that came from his arm. So we'll see how that goes. And then I've drawn in here as well several of these circular balls around the eye of Agamotto. As it gets smaller, you'll start to see, trying to get the foreshadowing right there, and then another one of those eyes there to give us the sense. If we draw this here and here, you've got your eye there ready to go. We'll come to his face very soon. But one of the things that I always found interesting was the original Doctor Strange had this crop top or weird sort of crop with his highlighted hair. It had white streaks. So he looked very interesting finish. So we can go quite dark to there, but then just some very subtle lines here to highlight the silver, and we'll come to that very soon. And as you can see here, put the vast majority of his face in the shade. There we have his moustache, his mouth, and his nose. And what's funny about Doctor Strange is that he does have these upturned eyebrows, which I wanted to really highlight here. And we are going to give him closed eyes in this instance. But there is your first view of him fully inked. So we're going to give him a bit of colour now and see how we go with that. So let's start off with the reds. As I say, the reds are probably the most iconic piece. And actually what I did forget to do, and I should add this in, is obviously the draping of the yellow from the cape. And we shall just add that in here like that. So that's now in place. So we have rose red. So this will give us a nice base for the sketch. So let's get this in place. As you can see, it's a lot of fine. Once you've got the line work in, colouring is not as easy as it looks, especially with these ink pens, because they are not very forgiving if you go outside the lines. And if there's one thing my children have taught me over the years, is that you shouldn't go over the lines when you're colouring in, otherwise you lose the definition. But we're already there, as you can see. Beautiful looking stuff already. I'm super happy with that. Not sure how we're going to do the shading yet with the magic piece, but for now, let's just get this in, and you'll hopefully start to see this take shape. Bit more red here. So hopefully you've been catching the video. We've got a new video coming out tonight, or my evening, your morning. My Heroes Con CGC submission, which was a little bit of a hit and a miss. So we had a few technical troubles with that this morning, which I've managed to resolve now. So that will be going live later today. So stay tuned for that. I think you'll get a kick out of that one. So yes, looking forward to seeing what everyone thinks about that video. And then on top of that, I've done a whole bunch of live streams planned. So we obviously have my usual Merry Monday Malcall show, which this week I'll be covering off how I finished off my Spider-Woman run, thanks to Dave at West Coast Avengers. So I did that, and he was fantastic in helping me out in terms of pulling that together. And I've just realized I've made a mistake here, but I'm not going to tell you what that mistake is, and we're just going to go with it. You'll never know the difference. I will, but you may not. If you can, please call it out in the chat. But yes, this is coming together quite nicely. Try not to draw on my wonderful mass mat here. But there we have it. We are almost there with the cape. I think most of the cape is now filled in. Do a bit of shading on that in a minute. But that's great to see. Let me just get rid of that from the screen and see what else we have had in the chat from, let me see, where is that one? Take that one away. What else do we have? So, Werewolf by Lunchtime. Hi, Dave. My favorite artists are the three Bs, Bill Sienkiewicz, Barry Windsor-Smith, and Bernie Wrightson. I agree. We share exactly the same artists. As I say, Barry Windsor-Smith is a funny one because he is a very old school UK artist and started his career in Marvel UK, which is a fascinating piece for me. I love the fact that one of my favorite artists actually started drawing pinups for Marvel. So this, it's great that he actually had a career. And recently, I think I shared one of the books where Barry, Avengers 67, I think, where Barry Windsor-Smith, then credited as Barry Smith, did the art for that book. So yeah, it's great that I love Barry Windsor-Smith's stuff. It's a shame he doesn't do too much anymore. I'd love to get his signature one time, but that's great. That would be good. All right, and then Dope's here as well, another fellow sketcher. So great to see you, mate. So I don't think I'm half as good as you, but I do enjoy doing this, especially when you can give back to people in terms of their favorite characters. So we'll see how we keep going with this one. But welcome to the show, mate. Welcome. So blues. So Mr. Strange. I'm going to turn this around to make it slightly easier on myself, so that I can actually get this coloured well enough. I think I may have gone too dark in the first instance, but we shall see. The beauty about these markers is that if you do make a mistake, you can actually blend slightly better with them, and they do go on dark, and then invariably they lighten up. So we'll see how we go with this. As you can see, it's already starting to lighten up a little bit here, and you can probably see that mistake that I made, but who knows? So let's see how this goes. And there's a lovely little flourish here. But yeah, coming on quite nicely. We'll see how we go. It's always one of those tricky ones, right? It's one part of the process can always mess up. For the most part, it's been pretty good doing these and getting back in the habit of sketching and drawing. And I haven't made too many mistakes. But there are certain things that you're out of practice, you forget how things flow, what things are supposed to look like. But hopefully, as I say, the vast majority of the elements are here. They look right. I don't think it's too problematic. Already starting to feel pretty good. Dr. Stephen Strange. It'll be interesting to see how they continue that in the Marvel movies. I was very disappointed with Multiverse of Madness. It was sort of a bit of a weird ending to have him. Is he evil? Is he not? What's the story with Clear? And I sort of think that Marvel does need to do a bit of a reboot now. in order to fix a lot of these problems. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Doomsday and how Doctor Strange fits into it all. Because last we saw of him, he was running off with Clear to stop an incursion that he'd caused. So again, another one of those interesting ones to see how it all plays out. So let's see if we can get some of that magic going. So what I'm going to do with this is just on the interior here, light up the green, because traditionally there's a lot of green in the magic. And again, I'm not necessarily drawing the hand this time. It's more highlighting the area so that you get a sense of the hand, but not necessarily the hand. So we'll see how this looks when it's finalized. And the other thing I was doing was adding where the cape went through, adding the light for that too. So we'll just enter this around here and do a bit of blending later on. But as you can see, more to get a sense of the magic emanating out from him. And then the vast majority of it we'll do a little bit of extra shading here to give it a bit of depth, as you can see, so that you get that sense of shade throughout, definitely on this part and here. So hopefully you're getting a sense of it. Hopefully I'm not blocking too much of your vision as we go through this. But again, really, I just love doing this stuff. It's actually so much fun. Hopefully you enjoy it too. Now my other question is, what do I do for the blacks? Obviously, Doctor Strange, he does have jet black hair apart from those silver marks. So let's see how we go with that. Hopefully, again, you can see this, but we'll get in with the deep blacks. Let's see how we go here. Did anyone see Alien Earth, the ending of Alien Earth, or the actual series? I did enjoy the first 2 episodes, but to be perfectly honest, it fell off the rails very, very quickly, and the ending was diabolical. So I don't know what everyone else thought, but it was a wasted opportunity. And I like Noah Hawley, the guy who was writing it. So I was a little surprised to see how bad they sort of handled the whole thing. Could have been a lot better. But yes, that was another thing that I've been watching this week. I was trying to think what else. Marvel Zombies too. I haven't got round to watching it, and I'm not really. Again, I used to watch everything Marvel put out religiously, and I'm just not feeling it. Just doesn't feel like it's something that I want to see, which is a real shame because, I think it started well, but I've never really been a massive fan of Marvel Zombies anyway. So yeah, I think once you've unleashed that, you've got nowhere else to go with the idea to some degree. So we'll see how that one goes. And there's your Doctor Strange there. So that seems like we've managed to nail that one. And we'll put a bit of that yellow in here to add, obviously, where his cape goes. Let's see how this one. And I also think his amulet, Eye of Agamotto, is usually that color too. So we'll do that. So that all fits too. And shade that as we go. As well as those amulets. So that's in place. So, and we'll add a bit of shading to that in a minute. Flesh tones. Let's get him coloured, shall we? So we'll make him, shine him all up. There we go. I think the base throughout the whole piece, so that he's fully coloured. And as mentioned, his eyes are closed, so we don't really have to worry too much about drawing his eyes. And there he is. Now let's add a little bit of shading to this. So this is what I do love about these markers, is you can go and really add in some additional detail to really highlight the actual character sketch as you go. And we need a little bit of more darker where his cape is. Put a little bit of shading around the edge there. And already you can start to see that's starting to work out a little bit in terms of how the light shines off it. And we've got a bit of highlight where we think it's needed. So that's that one good. So that's starting to look pretty good now. It's amazing what that color will do once you get it in. So we've got rose red and bright red. So let's add a little bit of shade to the cape to give us some extra depth there too. And as you can see, that already is working out pretty well. Let's just add a little bit here underneath. So a bit where there you go. So works pretty well. Now we probably need a little bit of grey for really light grey for his silver fox moment. So GG1000. The good news is that we have these color charts, and I have to go dig through thousands and thousands of different colors to see which one I want to use. So I'm looking at GG1100, and with my eyesight failing, it's always tricky to find these things. I found GG1000, but not one. Oh dear, it's always I should always try. I do try and sort these out before I start, but it never quite works out. And this is why I have my trusty tester card to see. That's way too dark, as you can see there. Let's see, is this what I'm looking for? This might be it. There you go. So we can now add a little bit of grey to this, and suddenly his hair is made up, and we'll add a bit of darkness to the amulets and robe, so you get a little sense of darkness there too. And as I say, it starts to blend in nicely. There you go. Maybe a little bit darker, but I'm getting pretty happy with that. That's a pretty quick rendering, brought together quite quickly there. Might put a little bit more of that bright red shading here to accentuate the cape a bit more, especially around the edge where the magic is lighting up. But that's starting to work quite well. We do need a little bit more blue. Let's see if we can get some additional shading going there too to help highlight that. Let's have a look, see if that works. And then I'll need a little bit of lighter blue, which is probably PB7. Let's have a look if we can find a PB7. I've got a PB6, PB3, PB7. So PB7 will give us that color. which I think will be perfect for the emblem on the front of his suit. And we might put a little bit of a darker blue there as well. But as you can see, that really then makes that pop. Now, background color-wise, not entirely sure what I'm going to throw in. Should I leave it white or should I color it? I may go with a purple or something just to add some extra color behind there, but pretty happy with how that's looking. So I think I might do some finishing touches before we send that out. Maybe some color on the external part. But for the most part, there is your Doctor Strange ready for Rafe's Retro Comics. So very happy to have picked that one up. So let's draw for next time's sketch. Probably do that in a couple of weeks. As I say, we've been a little remiss because I've been moving house, and we're just about to finally move back in permanently, which is great. Give us another couple of weeks, but we're back in the studio, so it's great to be able to do that. What brand of markers are you using? So these are Ahohu. So they're not... I do have some of the Japanese markers, but these are the Chinese. They're made from the Chinese markers, but essentially the same thing, and they're super cheap. You can get the whole stack, and I'll zoom out so you can see what I'm using. You can use the whole stack of these. I think there's like 255 of them for about $250, which is pretty good when you consider the fact that they last forever and they blend really nicely. So yeah, if you can grab those, they're highly recommended. Highly recommended. So that's it. So let me just bring up our... I'm just going to share the screen, bring up our wheel of names. There we have it. There's our wheel of names. So we've got the Comic Vet, Mr. McGroovy, Mon Comics, Werewolf by Lunchtime, Kmart Comics, Action Jackson, Mike Washburn, Simple Simon, Matt Likes Comics, Omnibo, Mad Spidey, Brian LCS, Rob's Fat Stacks, and Comics with Izzyverse. Now, Brian, Rob, and Izzy have all won in the past. So I spoke to Rob, and he's very kindly donated his back, and so did Izzy. So starting from this point on, what we'll do is if you've had a sketch, we will remove you from the wheel for the time being until we've actually exhausted all of the members that haven't. So I will be removing Brian, Rob, and Izzyverse for this spin, and we will spin for those who have not won a sketch card yet. But as I say, thank you to those. Thank you to Rob and Izzy for kindly donating that. I think Brian's had 2 as well from memory. So we'll see how we go. I will shuffle. Let's say we're almost at 4K subscribers. So let's shuffle it 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's spin the wheel. Hopefully he doesn't want another one of his favorite Scarlet Spider, as he's got one of those from me previously. But I will reach out and we will do another sketch for Bo. Great to see. Congratulations, mate. With that, I will leave you all to your weekend. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you enjoyed the sketch. And as I say, this will be going out to Rafe. I'll be finishing it off and posting it on Instagram. But thank you all for joining. It's been an absolute joy. Hope you enjoyed my weird and wonderful ramblings. I will see you on Monday for the Merry Monday Mail Call Show, where I'll be a little bit more coherent, given the fact that I'll have a comic book in front of me and I'll be able to talk about it rather than me concentrating on finishing this off. But it's been an absolute joy. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Patel, again, for the beautiful and amazing super chats. They, as I say, will be going to the Hero Initiative. And thank you all very much for joining. And I'll see you in a couple of weeks when we do this all again. And who knows who will be sketching.